Okay.
Hello, everyone. Now I want to talk to you about when I was discharged from the hospital on the 24th. 2 days later, the nurse came out to check my knee. She took the bandages off, which was the first time the bandage had been off for at least 5 days. And she immediately saw where it had been infected. So she told me, well, Bonnie said, I'm going to have to come back out tomorrow. And if it looks worse, then you're going to have to go back to the doctor. So I said, okay. And the next day she came back out, and it was really bad infected. That was on Thursday. So she called immediately and got me an appointment for Friday. Now I had to see my partner to my doctor because my doctor had left town like a week before I had discharge. So he brought me in and he took a culture of my knee immediately. And he said it'd be tomorrow before he knew exactly what was wrong. But he said, I want you to go back in the hospital now. So my husband had to drive me to the hospital. I sat in the back seat. The nurse from the doctor's office put a pillow under my leg so I'd be more comfortable. The whole trip, all of a sudden, my mind just started going out. My head was just going in circles, and I could hardly focus on anything. And I knew something was dreadfully wrong because I was just really could not, it was bad. And I was hurting. So when we got to the hospital, my husband had to almost drag me out because I couldn't even get my hands, my legs, anything to move. So he got me in the wheelchair and he just about ran all over the hospital trying to figure out where to go. Nobody could tell us where to go. And we finally found it. So then they got me signed back in. They got me a room and immediately they started to put an IV in my arm. But unfortunately, I have terrible veins and they could not get the IV to stay in. So they tried several different places and nothing would work. So they finally ended up down in the lower part of my leg, upper part of my leg. And you're talking about pain, that was terrible. So that was in for several days until my doctor came back. And then on Saturday, the other doctor came in and told me the dreadful news. I had MRSA. And I really wasn't sure that much about what MRSA was then. But at that time, he gave me the right kind of medicine, antibiotics. And by Saturday evening, Saturday night, during the night, I started feeling a little bit better. And so the next day, he had to do another surgery. And this time he did what's called an IND, which means they go back into the same place. He had to go into the same scar as before, and he has several liters of, I guess, distilled water. And he went in, poured that water all over the metal that was in my leg, trying to get the staph off or MRSA off of it. And he did that 3 or 4 times, and then he sewed me back up, and he said everything went fine. But he said, your doctor will be back in tomorrow, and he'll talk to you more about it. Well, Monday afternoon, my doctor came back, and of course, the very first thing he told me was, the hospital did this to you. And I couldn't figure out what in the world he was talking about because I didn't know anything was wrong. And so he said, Bonnie, I'm going to have to do another surgery on Wednesday. And he said, you still got staph in you, and I'm going to have to do the same IND. So on Wednesday, he went back in again. This was his first time of looking at my leg. So after the surgery, he told me that the staph had eaten the my knee off. That he was going to have to do a skin graft, and he would do that with my leg. And so I said, okay, go ahead, do what you have to do. So that's what he did on he said that would be on Monday. So on Monday he went back in, and I was hoping this was the last time because it's really painful. And you have to keep going back in and back in and back in. So on Monday he went in and he did a skin graft and he did whatever he was supposed to do, at least I thought, and he said everything was okay. He said, but there was at least one little staph left. He couldn't get all of it because he said they really like metal and it's hard to get everything off. So he said you still have at least one in you. But he said you'll be on antibiotics and you have to go to the controlled disease center and keep them going, and they will help you out with whatever you need. So I said okay, and he said now the best thing for you is for me to discharge you as soon as possible because you don't need to be in a hospital where you get more staph. So he said he was going to discharge me on Friday if everything looked all right. So that's what he did. On Friday I was discharged, and now I will show you the surgery and what he did. Okay. Now this is my knee. And of course, now one thing he did not tell me was that down here you have what's called a patella tendon. Now this right here is where he did the skin graft, all that, and he did it from up here. He took the skin off and he somehow they do it, I don't know how, but due to the patella tendon was also eaten up by the staph, and all he did, he kept the same patella tendon and he attached it to the metal, and when he did, he was hoping it would stay, but unfortunately it didn't. And because of that, the knee that's supposed to be right here came loose, and it's right up here now. So I have no kneecap where it's supposed to be. And because I don't have the patella tendon in there, I can only move my leg out this far. I can bend it, but it will not go out. I have to use this leg to make it go out. And it's very frustrating when I try to walk because it's very difficult to walk. And I also have to use a brace and a walker whenever it's like this. I use my walker, and like in the morning when I take a shower, or in the evening after I go to bed during the night. But the next one I will show you my brace and what I have to do to get my brace on every day. See you the next one.